Now available in paperback and Kindle. Vampires stalk the darkness of the Eternal Night. Get your copy of Eternal Night in paperback and Kindle on Amazon.com. One of my viewers is the artist Fobbs, and the artist Fobbs decided to send me a copy of his graphic novel, Becky, to review. Now, Fobbs signed this copy of Becky and said that I inspire him. And I was really floored by that statement that he put inside of his graphic novel, and it really made me happy to see that, and it really is an honor to go out here and review his comic. And I have to say that his graphic novel is top-notch and very well done, and I have to say his concept is something that is very original for the horror genre. Now, Becky is a contemporary horror comic that focuses on the horrors that black people have to deal with in relationships. And this comic really does a great job of really making commentary on the gender war and making commentary on black relationships and interracial dating, all while showing us how this Becky monster really wreaks havoc for this sister. Now, this whole story is about a sister who gets involved with a black man who has previously been involved with Latino women and white women. And as a result of this black man being involved with Latino women and white women, what has happened is he has formed a soul tie with a white female demon, also known as a Becky. And that whole concept of soul ties is something that I learned from YouTuber Blackmail Advice TV, aka Ringo, and your Fobbs brings that concept to life in this horror comic as related to this Becky making life miserable for the previous relationship that this man had with a Latino woman and the relationship he's currently trying to have with a black woman. And this whole Becky monster, what happens is she takes over this man's body and then uses it to go out here and do very deadly things to people, making the lives of the women that he's involved with very miserable. Now, that premise really was one that I found to be quite compelling because it really reminded me of the movie Hollow Man. Now, in the Hollow Man movie, we have this guy who becomes invisible, and as a result of becoming invisible, he becomes insane and then goes out here looking to terrorize people. And this Becky monster is a sort of succubus type demon who again has spiritually bonded to this black man, and this black man is looking to try to go on with his life, but the white woman that he had a relationship with has become this demon, and this demon is preventing him from being able to get closer to the women in his life. Now, the Hispanic woman he was involved with, we see in the opening scenes of this comic, is the first person who was tormented by this Becky, and she was tormented to the point where she wound up walking away from the relationship. Now, I really like Fobbs' art style here. It really reminds me a lot of a cinematic style, and he starts out here with some good establishing shots that introduce the introduction of the story, shows us this character going about her life, and then shows her being tormented by this Becky. Now, I can't show what's on the next page, but that shows the heroine of the story, but it's rated R, but R-rated stuff is a part of horror movies, and I really can't show that scene, but I can show other scenes in this comic, which has a very great manga style that reminds me of your Japanese manga, and it also reminds me of the animated series The Boondocks. So I like Fobbs' art style. It really has a nice pop, and he does a great job of conveying the action in the scenes
even the ones where you don't see too many word balloons. So you can easily follow the story and the action, and it's just very extremely well paced because he really gets you into the story in less than 3 pages, and that's what a good comic book writer and a good comic book artist do. They get you into the story, and they get you to be able to start caring about the characters and the story. And the Becky story is one that is very compelling because I practically was finished with this novel in less than an hour. A good graphic novel, if it's well done, it'll have you reading it in less than an hour or so. And Fobbs has crafted a page turner here with Becky. Becky is a very compelling story, and it's basically like looking at a movie on a page. And that's what a really good comic book does. It moves, the action on the page moves as you're imagining it, and you can basically see things going on in your head like a movie. And Becky really gets you into its story, and it gets you just eager to see more of the action going on. I really, again, enjoyed Becky, and I really enjoyed everything about this comic from the story perspective, and especially the art perspective. And I especially like the kind of watercolor style that Fobbs uses here. The watercolor style gives it a nice pop, and it gives it a nice unique feel that makes it feel something like a bit of a manga with a little bit of with a little bit of a Boondocks kind of feel. So I get a Magruder-esque style feeling of manga with Becky. And I also liked, as the story was going on, how your Fobbs takes jabs at YouTubers like Kevin Samuels, the High Value Man, in a couple of pages of the storyline. I don't really want to show too much of the comic, but that part of the comic was what I found to be, very, very funny. I mean, there's a whole sequence here where he's got this kind of Kevin Samuels kind of character, and it's extremely well done. He calls him Caleb Sessions, but the satire here is very well done, and I can tell that he pretty much watched your Kevin Samuels live streams on the regular to put this into the comic. A very well done satire and a nice jab, and it just shows how good his storytelling skills are to put this together. Now, the only issue I have with Becky is the lettering. I think if he hired a good letterer, this comic would be a classic, because the lettering here, the balloons they're just too big, and you need a good professional letterer to be able to make the lettering really work with the page. That's the only issue I have with Becky overall, is that Fobbs should just go out here and hire a professional letterer. I mean, I went out here and hired a letterer for Esteem No Good Deed. They only charged about maybe $20 a page, and that $20 that you're spending will be well spent, because when you have really solid lettering, what it does is it makes it where people can see the art a lot more clearly, and it makes it where the scenes can just flow that much better. You really want to make sure that your word balloons are not too big, because when they're too big, it makes it where you've got a lot of space out here, and a lot of this space can be you're losing the reader as related to the page. That's the only issue I have with this book, is the lettering. And again, if he had a good letterer, he could really, this would be a book that would definitely be one of the best books of 2021. It is a very well done book, and it's one I would definitely recommend. And it's an original African American horror concept that I know would be very one that everybody would like if they gave it a try. And I definitely recommend you pick up Becky, because you'll never look at swirling relationships with white women the same way after you've read this comic and see how this white female demon can make life miserable for black people. I mean, this is a very unique and original concept, and it's one that I definitely want to see more readers pick up. This is the type of African American horror fantasy that I really want to see more of, and Fobbs has it set up with a good ending that may lead into a possible sequel, and I'm definitely looking forward to him coming out with a sequel to Becky. This is a story that I believe definitely readers really should go out here and pick up, because I want to see Fobbs make enough money on this book to go out here and be able to do more comics. He's an artist with a lot of promise, and if this is the start of his work as related to comics, I see him having a nice long career in the comic medium. Now, I have a comic out right now, Esteem No Good Deed, and that's available on Kindle for 99 cents. And I'm also going to be launching a comic on Kickstarter next year, John Haynes at Death's Door, and I've got 75% of the art done, only 6 more pages left to be completed, and that Kickstarter will be out soon. So I'm going to be launching my own comic in a few months, and I'm hoping you guys will put in a pledge for it. But until then, I'm asking everybody to head over to Amazon.com, pick up a copy of Esteem No Good Deed, and many of the prose black fantasy books on the SJS Direct imprint, like the ISIS series, the Esteem series, the John Haynes series, and the books of the Spinsterella trilogy. And if you want to see me do more great comic review videos like this, you can donate to my Patreon, my PayPal, or my Cash App by clicking the links in the description box. And if you have a comic that you want me to review, if you're an indie publisher, you can just send me an email to sjsdirectamerica@gmail.com. And if I like your concept, I will feature your comic in a review video. I really want to see more great independent creators like Fobbs get the word out about their comics, and I want to see those comics get into the hands of readers. And that's the main reason why I do so many of these comic review videos, is because I want to see the comic book medium grow, and I want to see readers pick up the great works of great creators like Fobbs. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe.
Now available in paperback and e-readers, The Temptation of John Haynes. Give in to temptation and pick up this action-packed African-American paranormal romance. Get The Temptation of John Haynes